just to be careful, and if it doesn't feel right to you and you feel like there's an issue, there's no problem with asking. There's plenty of resources for you, and we're happy to help you with that.
So the next part of the statute deals specifically with when you have a conflict, what do you have to do to make sure that it's clear why you have a conflict? So, for example, if you are called to vote on a contract, let's say for some sort of construction project, and perhaps the construction owner of that company is your brother-in-law, do you think you should vote on that? No. And you would need to submit a statement as to why you have a conflict of interest and why you're not. So the minutes are clear and people can't do as to why you're not taking action on that. This statute that you have before you, 813-700B, is exactly what it says. So some common ethics question, what are the rules for a board member who has a family member employed by the school district? Obviously, you can't make decisions about that person's employment. There was a situation recently involving a superintendent who's no longer in the state who sort of rubber stamped the hiring of his wife, and that was a major ethical question. I think that issue was resolved for everybody's benefit, but that certainly highlights that these ethical rules and ramifications apply to everyone in public employment. So if you have a family member working for the district, you want to steer clear of any vote or action that regards that particular individual, okay? What are the rules when the board is invited to dinner by a vendor currently doing business with the district? So there are rules about disclosing when you have received something in excess of $25, I believe is in there. Is that right, Scott? I think it's $25. Yeah, so if you go to dinner with a vendor and you get a steak and a lobster tail and 3 glasses of wine and some other things and it's over $25, you probably need to disclose that on your ethics form to make sure that you're compliant with the law, okay? That just lets everybody know that we're being transparent and we're responsible for what we're doing, and that's a good thing for your public. Yes, sir. That's probably a smart thing to do. I'm not sure that it actually requires, like, for example, if this being a spouse would been to dinner. I mean, technically, it is sort of to your benefit because otherwise you would be paying for that, right? Specifically someone in your immediate family that you would otherwise be financially responsible for. If it was like, let's say a best friend or something, maybe not. But I would always err on the side of caution. Ethics like disclosure, right? And so it's always better to be a little bit more forward than to have to go back later and try to pick up something like that. It's a great wife, husband, all of that, kids sometimes. So that's always something to keep in mind. Absolutely.
Now, and I'm just bringing this up because it is up to individuals to make the disclosure. But there's nothing to say that you can't get tomato soup and water.
Right.
There's nothing that says that tomato soup wasn't loaded with something. So I just want to be sure to put that out there.
I have a sort of a funny story about this. When I was in the business of suing school districts, I had a situation where I was representing a superintendent, and there was a board member who was individually sued. There were several who were individually sued in this lawsuit that I was trying to prosecute. And there were a lot of issues about the finances of this particular school district. And it was really uncomfortable for the board member when I was asking questions about $75 and $100 meals that were delivered to a hotel room on the district's dime in a faraway city when the district didn't have money to support its kids. And so you need to be aware of all the actions that you're taking as a board member, even when you're not here. And that's just always something to keep in mind. So for what that's worth, that was a true story. And it was fun to ask the question. I'm sure it wasn't fun to answer the question, right? What type of gifts are you required to disclose? Those are things that we just talked about that are in excess of $25. If you don't know, you can call the Ethics Commission. They are really great about answering those questions. I would always phrase that as, I have this hypothetical scenario, and I'd like to know how you would give me guidance on that, okay? We had an ethics presentation at one of the last School Board Association conferences that we attended before COVID, and the Ethics Commission came and she presented, and I was really surprised. And there were people who were like admitting ethics violations publicly in the session. I was like, no, these are hypotheticals, please, like just hypotheticals, okay? So that's important. Potential landmines, these are just general for you guys. This isn't even just ethics. This is everything that we've talked about already today. And it's just sort of a, yes, sir, Mr. Driggers.
I wanted to ask you a question.
Absolutely.
On the page before, it says, if my spouse is a teacher, must I excuse myself from voting on salary increases and bonuses? I understand that part of it, but we've recently done a few things within our district where we gave
Everybody.
all personnel.
Everybody.
So does that apply to that also? If your brother's a bus driver, I mean.
The same rules would apply, but I mean, you're doing it for everyone. You're not singling out someone. If you had a concern about that, you could always make a note and make a statement about that if you were concerned about it. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Scott?
No, I think you might even could do both. As I understand the rule, if it's in the collective, if it's a budget, if it's budget-wide or district-wide, you do not have to recuse. But if you still feel funny about it, you can do that. I mean, if it's, as a practical matter, if it's going to pass anyway, and you want to just be totally above board so nobody in the community thinks or gets it confused, you can recuse if you like. But I don't believe if it's a budget-wide issue and it affects all teachers, all employees, whatever, I don't believe you're not bound to legally to recuse.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, so some potential landmines for you guys to keep in mind, just to sum things up tonight. Allowing your role as a parent, spouse, or grandparent to overlap with your role as a board member. We all wear different hats. I mean, I'm a mom, I have a kid at home, and she means the world to me, and I would bend over backwards for her. But if I'm a board member and I'm here tonight, I have to act in my capacity as a board member and not a mom, right? So you can use things from your other hats to help you make decisions, but you have to remember that you're here for all of our kids, all of our staff, not just for your child or your spouse or your sister, right? That's very important. Following proper protocol when you're visiting schools or dealing with staff. We've already talked about conflicts of interest and making sure that when you are working, even if you have a community member who reports something to you, to direct that through the proper chain of command, so that you can hear something if it comes to your attention. You don't have to accuse yourself, right? We've talked about failing to maintain the confidentiality of matters discussed during executive session. The board has to waive privilege as a whole with a majority vote. So one person cannot do that. That's very crucial. And then, of course, we've already talked to about failing to accept the vote. Y'all are pretty united. I mean, I think when I've been here, when people are voting down a motion, and even it's minority, they speak their piece and move on. And that's what you have to do for our kids, and y'all know that. Other issues that we see commonly in school law is the lack of communication between the board and the superintendent keeping the board apprised of what's going on, having a back and forth with each other and with the superintendent about your concerns so that you can address those and do that for your constituents. Again, board members acting not collectively, but as individual people. You do represent your own constituents, but you act as a whole in this room, right? No one person has any more power than anybody else in here. Coming to board meetings prepared is crucial and key. You have those duties of loyalty, care, and fiduciary duties to the district. You don't want to breach any of those. You want to make sure you're ready to go and answer questions and ask good questions when you get here. We don't play gotcha at board meetings. That would be inappropriate and unprofessional, right? I'm seeing y'all nod your heads. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen the articles about other school boards that do this. I'm not going to call any names because that wouldn't be appropriate. Giving orders to employees other than the superintendent. So we've gone over the superintendent's role today and the board's role. You employ who? The superintendent, and the superintendent employs who?
Everybody else.
That's right. So if you have a concern about another staff person, who do you direct that concern to?
Superintendent.
The superintendent. That's correct. Social media use, I could talk about this for a million hours. It's one of the best topics ever now because Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok are rampant. Just remember, if you have your own personal Facebook page, for example, that if you are going to make a statement about something as a board member, you need to make it clear that that is your statement and not the board's statement, especially if it's adverse to what the board has already decided, right? You need to be careful about how you share that information. A lot of board members have board member pages, which is where people can follow and obtain information. But quite frankly, y'all's district, I think, does a fairly good job, actually a really good job putting out information publicly through their social media accounts. So I would direct people to that if they have questions. But just be aware of that and be careful about it. We've seen a number of politicians recently who have been sort of crucified in the news for their use of social media. So just be aware. And that's it. So if y'all have questions, we're happy to take them. We appreciate the opportunity to come and serve you guys tonight, as always. We're coming back on Wednesday to meet with your staff to provide some training. But Scott and I really enjoy coming back to this part of the state. It's where I'm from, where he's from, and we love that. And y'all do hard work, but, your kids are number one. And I always go back to this saying I heard from this speaker at one of the school board conferences. This may have been 5 or 6 years ago, and she said, you got to put the baby on the table. You've got to always think about the kids first. And so that's what we try to do when we're giving you guys advice. We hope it's always good advice. We strive to give really good advice. But that's who we're thinking about at the end of the day, are the kids and how this is going to affect them. So any questions?
No question. I just want to say thank you to you, Ashley, to you and Scott for your hard work, for coming over, and through, especially in what's going on right now. We appreciate you being here. We thank you for all that you're doing to help us make sure that we stay on track and that we're made aware of everything that's going on. And on behalf of the new board members, this is all basically new to them and a good refresher for all of us. Thank you. You don't know how much it means to us for us to be reminded of the things that we should do and the things that we are doing quite well, I believe. And thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, thank y'all. And y'all should all receive emails from us about regular things that are occurring in the legal world that you need to be aware of. If you're not, let me know and make sure you get on that list. So thank y'all. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a question. I'm sorry. We do have a question.
No, I was saying.
Oh.
Oh, is that a thumbs up? Make that public. That was a thumbs up, okay?
That was a thumbs up.
Thanks,
I'm
y'all.
sorry. All right, with that being said, can I get an approval of the minutes for January 11th, 2020, regular scheduled board meeting?
Chair, offer your motion that we adopt the minutes from our last board meeting of January 11th, 2021, excuse me.
It has been moved and seconded that the minutes be approved for the January 11th, 2021 regular scheduled board meeting. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Opposers are the same. The minutes have been approved. Points of celebration, character education, student of the month.
Waiting on the principals to come forward, and I see Mahilda Douglas and Ashley Taylor coming forward, and as you know, we do not have the students here, but we do have pictures.
They're pulling up the picture? Okay, I can go ahead. Okay. Good evening, members of the board, Chairman McNeil, Dr. McCord. We have great pleasure of recognizing the district Character Ed Student of the Month for elementary, and she comes from Wallace Elementary Middle School, and it is Miss Sophie Beggs. I'm going to read you a little bit about what her teacher said. Manners easily and rapidly mature into morals. Sophie has one of the kindest and sweetest personalities of a child that I've ever taught. She always has a smile on her face and starts the day with a great mood. While we're in class, Sophie is always using her manners to me and her classmates. She is willing to read or do anything for me when I call on her. If I'm on mute, she politely says, "Miss Culliford, you're on mute." And she always has a little giggle when she says this. It always makes me laugh because I know that she's always watching me. Yes, Sophie always answers me with yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am. But manners can mean more than just those two things. Manners are being willing to help someone in need, when someone is sad, to listen to their problems, and having the right attitude during any situation. Sophie does all of these things in the classroom every day. I give credit to her parents for instilling manners in their homes so that Sophie can display the manners when she is away from her parents. Manners take you far in life, and I know that Sophie will accomplish great things in life. Congratulations to Sophie Biggs.
Congratulations, Sophie. Thank you very much. We wish they were here, but we understand the reasons they're not. But again, I want to thank all of you, and especially the kids, for the great work that they are doing.
I believe we have Blenheim School of Discovery coming. Mr. Lawrence Dees and Principal Dr. Vance.
Chairman McNeil, Dr. McCord, board members, good evening.
Good evening.
We would like to recognize Kelly Marcus, an 8th grade student at Blenheim Middle School of Discovery. I would like to nominate student Kelly Marcus for the Student of the Month. From the day that he entered my class until this present day, he has shown outstanding good behavior. Whenever he is in the school building, he will never fail to greet you good morning, and he will do that with all of his subject teachers. He follows the class procedures and expectations. He never interrupts class. Whenever his classmates are talking, he is calm and reserved. He always turns in his assignments on time and asks questions with respect whenever he has one. In virtual classes, he is the first one to join the conference, and even if he is alone in the conference, he still participates in the discussion and never leaves the session until he has permission. He also never forgets to say goodbye or have a good one before leaving the conference. He always says thank you whenever you email him if you have any concern about his performance. Whenever his answer is wrong, he will say, "I'm sorry." He is kind as well. There's a time when his classmates needed some paper for their independent work, and he did not refuse to share his paper with them. That is why my team is so proud to have him in our classes. He is a sweetheart, a joy for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations to Kelly.
We're going to have Don Hood come up and talk to us about the Junior Scholars and what the Junior Scholars program is. Got some exciting news.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to talk to you guys about our Junior Scholars. The South Carolina Junior Scholars Program, the South Carolina Junior Scholars Program identifies our current 8th grade students with exceptional academic talent. These students are selected based on their performance on the preliminary Scholastic Aptitude Test and National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test, or by recognition from Duke's University Talent Identification Program, or TIP program. In order to qualify as a junior scholar, students need to score a 550 or higher on the evidence-based reading and writing portion of the PSAT, or score 530 or higher on the mathematics portion of the PSAT, or they would participate in the Duke University's Talent Identification Program during his or her 7th grade year, meet the eligibility requirements as outlined by that program, and be invited to attend either the state or grand recognition ceremonies. Our 8th grade students take the PSAT in October every year. In 2018, we had 1 student to qualify. 2 students qualified in 2019, and this year we have 5. So from McCall Elementary Middle School, we have Lucas Chavis, or Luke Chavis, Caitlin Kelly, Jacqueline Lily Rankin, and Hayden Snyder. From Blenheim Middle School of Discovery, we have Alejandro Gaston. And so those are our 5 this year. Congratulations to our junior scholars.
Congratulations. Sounds great. I want to thank the teachers, the parents, and especially the kids for their hard work to get to where they are. I know it takes a lot of work, especially now during these times, so we do appreciate everything that everyone's doing to make sure our kids continue to move forward. Thank you. Public comments? There are none. Board items for discussion. COVID-19 update.
Okay, and I'm going to pass these around if I can. And all of you are familiar with the dashboard that we have on our district's webpage. And as you know, we started. Wait a minute. Okay. Make sure my mic is on. As you know, we had the students that are hybrid students return for this week. Today was the first day, and it was a great day. We had students at each site. Those that are normally considered to be A students were in the buildings, and we look forward to having the B students soon. And as I said, today was a great day because we had a chance to see the smiling faces of young people in person. Before we return any of our students to the schools, we last week double-checked and triple-checked to make sure that all staff members had the necessary and requested PPE that they felt as though they may need to help overcome some of their anxiety. I'm not going to tell you that we were successful in helping everyone overcome all anxieties. However, I will tell you we did our level best in making sure that everyone had what they requested. We still have supplies that are being delivered, and we will continue to do so. To that end, we said that we would follow the science and see what our numbers are indicating here in our county. The numbers have been going down steadily for the past couple of weeks. I can't tell you I can predict the future, but I can tell you we are providing as safe an environment as we can. Today, I was very proud to see schools practicing and promoting social distancing, proper hand washing, and wearing the mask at all times. Unless, of course, they were like I am right now speaking, but I'm not close to anyone. If you take a look at our dashboard, you will see our positive cases for students. That number is 6. The positive cases for staff, the number is 8. And for quarantine, it's 23 and 12 respectively. We update this daily. Today is February 1, as you can see. And what I'd ask people to do is just to take a note of what the numbers have been since we enrolled in school. If you look at by percentage, you will see that we are well under what the averages are, not just in the county, but in the PD and state. These are the specific numbers per school, and we provide this, of course, again, to help dispel rumors. We can only report that which has been provided to us. We receive our information by both staff and parents, as well as DHEC. Very thankful and appreciative of the support that the nurses have been providing for our students and our staff since we returned back in September. I'm also excited about the possibility of teachers being placed on the vaccination line. I believe, if I'm correct, this is going to happen in the next couple of weeks. I'm also excited to announce that as of last week, when we surveyed staff, we were at about 52% that said that they would take the test when the opportunity comes. Now, that's a big deal. And that's a big deal, and I hope everyone pays attention to it, because in order for us to successfully say that we are doing everything that we can, we need that number to jump up to 100%. I'm not advocating or denouncing the vaccine at any point. I will say that I have myself taken the shot. I did so, doing so again on tomorrow, with the hope that others will follow. I know several of you. I know Chief McNeil has taken the shot. I believe.
No, I haven't gotten mine yet.
Okay. Mr. Flowers has taken the shot. And is that it on the board?
I'm on the list.
We're trying to lead by example, and I know you're not 65 or 70. We just happen to move in medical personnel, law enforcement, and then I was a part of a program through MUSC that's trying to help dispel the myths related to the vaccine.
I'm trying to figure out when I can take it and where they can stick me at. I mean, is there anything, anybody got any information you help out in the afternoon when you get up and work and take a shot?
Well, we do know that they were administering the shot, I think that was Friday, here locally, and they had some extra shots left over. My understanding is they were giving them out to those that came up. Next time I hear of it, I'll make sure I come and pick you up
Just give me a
personally.
call. Boom.
I'll come and get you personally. But that aside, we should be good by the end of the month.
I do have a question along the line of Mr. Coachman. Could not or would not the school board be a part of
You're part of the education.
the
system.
educational part?
Right.
So that would include you.
We
What up?
submitted your name.
You did?
We did.
Thank you.
Yeah, we did.
And it'll be in your arm.
I think
It
Care
don't
South
matter.
is doing some
It
tomorrow.
don't matter.
Care
Dr.
South
McCord,
is doing some tomorrow, are they not?
that chart you had up, can you email me a
think you
copy
are.
of that?
Yes. And this is on our website, but I can
Give 'em a call.
get that email to you right now.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Oh, I did not get to this. George, put this up on the screen, please. Just go to the website. I'll just tell you what it is. This is just some facts and data related to Marlboro County School District and COVID-19. Again, you can find this on our website. And I'll make sure that if you don't have it, I'll send it to each of you later on. Okay? Let me see, they're pulling up the website. This is our website, if you're not familiar with it. It's marlboro.k12.sc.us. And if you go to announcements and news, click on it, and then look at the Safeguarding Schools flyer, you'll see more information. It tells you how many students we have that are currently registered as hybrid, as well as those that are considered virtual. Positive cases for students and staff, and where we are as a district in comparison to the region, the PD region. So thank you. Okay? I'll answer any questions if you have.
Okay, if not, we go to academic calendar for 21, 22, and 22, 23.
Okay. We're going to have Dr. Robinson come up and discuss the calendar process. And I do want to mention before she gets started, you will notice that we have but one calendar option. In the past, we've had a calendar option for McCall and a calendar option for the other schools in the district. Because we are at a point where all students have been out of school due to the pandemic for the same amount of time, we are going to look at opportunities to provide for the learning loss in our students by way of summer school. It's not going to allow for us to have two different calendars and have a summer school and then start school. If we tried or attempted to do it, there would be no summer break and in between for McCall students and teachers and staff, and I don't think that would be bearable for anyone. They would essentially be coming off of this year, moving into summer school, and then right into a new school year. And so this information, and Dr. Robinson will discuss it, was shared district-wide, and this is what was voted on. I do need to ask for a point of privilege, if I can, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I neglected to mention, we have 3 students that are going to be representing Marlboro County School District in the regional spelling bee. This is, of course, one more student than we've had in the past, and this is of the top 17 spellers in the PD region. That's about 17 different school districts in the PD region. So I'd like to take a moment and say congratulations to Jaden Adams from Bennettsville Intermediate, Ladarian Malachi from Blenheim Middle School of Discovery, and Luke Chavis, who was featured earlier as a junior scholar from McCall Elementary Middle. So let's cheer them on. And I'd like to say thank you to the schools and ask that the community and the board, let's push them up as if they are playing for the state championship.
They are.
Because they are. They're representing Marlboro County, and we're excited about it. We had 3, and of the districts in the PD region, I think one district had more than us. I won't mention that district, but they had 4. So we're hot on the heels, okay? Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman McNeil, board members, and Dr. McCord. Tonight, I present to you the proposed calendars for the 21-22 and 22-23 school years. In January, we received input from our stakeholders via our Teachers of the Year. Also on our committee, Ms. Connie Anderson and Ms. Angel Douglas, our benefits coordinator, participated. For the 21-22 school term, teachers were provided 2 calendar options. Calendar option 1 received 29% of the vote, and option 2 received 71% of the vote. In your packets, you should have a copy of the calendars, but I will highlight some of the dates on option 2. On option 2, teachers will begin the school year on August 9th, and the week of August 9th through the 13th, they will receive professional development and 2 teacher work days. Students will begin the school term on August 16th. Students will receive 5 days for Thanksgiving, 2 weeks for Christmas break, and first semester will end after the winter break on January 12th. Unfortunately, because of summer school and the August date, we will not be able to end the semester in December like we had hoped to last year.
I was going to ask that question because I knew that was something that we had talked about previously about getting that done, but you explained it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Therefore, our ELCs and exams, unfortunately, will have to happen in January. There is a teacher work day in January, on January 3rd, and also one in February. Professional development days are in October and March. Both semesters this year will have 90 days. If you remember our conversations from last year, because we were trying to finish the semester before January and December, we were going to cut first semester short. I think it was going to be roughly 85 days. But this year there will be 90 and 90, which was a big issue for our high school teachers who give EOC. They want an equal number of days in both semesters. On this calendar, Good Friday is a holiday, and also spring break is after Easter. Memorial Day is a holiday, and graduation will be June 4th. The last day for students will be June 2nd, and the last day for teachers will be June 3rd.
Quick question. Make sure I'm understanding what we're doing here. We're doing this because summer school, and summer school is going to be required?
Summer school, we're going to, as much as possible, make it necessary or mandatory for those that we believe will benefit from. I can't tell you.
I understand what you're saying.
I can't tell you all students will partake in summer school, but I can tell you we have a large majority of students that we need to look at possibly remediating.
And I'm not trying to be the devil's advocate here, but when we decided to do this past time, go to one school calendar, my understanding was for 1 year, this year, that the McCall would go back to the extended calendar. And I'm understanding what you're saying. The reason we're not going to do the extended year calendar is because of summer school running into each other. But if we don't have anything to get the kids in summer school, how do we know the kids are going to be in summer school and going to cause a problem starting when they regularly do? I'm just curious. How are we going to handle that?
And I apologize. I want to make sure I understand your question. When you say, how are we going to handle?
What we're doing is, if I'm understanding it correctly, and I may not be, but what we're doing is we're doing this calendar instead of McCall's extended calendar because of summer school kids running over and not getting any break whatsoever and going into class.
Right, the majority.
But we don't have any way of knowing those kids are going to be in that class, is what I'm hearing. I may not be understanding it correctly. We don't have any way to put those. There might not be but 10 kids show up for summer school. Am I hearing that correct? It's voluntary.
It could be 10 kids, but we're going to strongly demand.
I
for
understand,
students
I
to
understand.
attend.
We're gonna encourage every way we can, but other than voluntary, we don't have any way to have those kids in that school unless they volunteer to come or their parents bring them or whatever, make them go, right?
Well, it's involuntary, because if not, then we would be looking at high numbers of retention. If students have not successfully mastered what we consider to be enough content that they promote successfully to the next grade, and that's not something that we would want to hold over a family's head, but in some situations, that might be the case. And by no means do I want anyone to not understand what I mean when I say this. Face-to-face learning is, of course, the best means. We will be lucky if we get students back to a 5-day-a-week schedule between now and June. If we are lucky, then it will be just for the remaining few months. I would not feel comfortable not having an opportunity to continue with students and begin in the summer session to remediate those that may need it, and then start the new school year. But to answer your question, I can't guarantee you they will come, but I can guarantee you that it would be more problematic trying to put together and create two schedules, one for 700 students and the other for 3,000 students.
Well, and like I said, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. If the children and the parents will cooperate, it's a better scenario for us, because I'm one of the people on this board that have said the whole time that I think we're challenged with our educational values with what we're doing. We don't have another option, but we're challenged getting the education values to our children right now, as far as hybrid, as far as virtual, as far as them showing up doing their work. And I know that, but I just, if the kids will show up for summer school, hey, I'm all for it. But I just don't know if the kids are not doing the hybrid or not doing the virtual. I don't see them showing up for summer school either. I'm just being honest with you straight up.
Is there any way, will there be anything in place to start letting these parents know that your child, based on what we're looking at now academically, your child, it doesn't look like that child may be able to move to the next grade? Is something like that in place to encourage the parents to know that their child needs to come to summer school? I mean, because if they're going to
answer the question, yes. If you go back to October when we had the first report card session, principals began at that time notifying parents of students that were not being successful. We spoke at the board meeting and discussed and shared with you that those, especially those that were not being successful using the virtual platform, would not be offered the virtual platform for second semester. So the communication is coming from the schools to the parents. Now, as far as retention goes, it's too far out to say your child is going to be retained. But the communication has been and will continue to be for students that are not doing what they're capable of doing.
my fear is there are going to be parents who's going to use it. They may end up saying, look, because of the way the situations are, you cannot fail my child. And somebody's going to say or do that. And I don't know legally whether we can or can't do that. I mean, if they're not getting it, they're not getting it. If they're given the opportunity, and if the opportunity is afforded to them by summer school, then I think that we've said it, but I think we need to say it more. I think shouting from the rooftop saying that every child needs, if not all, at least a certain number of these kids need to be going to summer school. And if it means sending a letter to each parent saying your child is on that line.
And again, I feel pretty comfortable that that's taking place.
Okay, Mr.
Yeah,
Coach.
Dr. May I add?
I'm sorry, Ms. Coach.
I'll let Ms.
Yeah. We are still under the third grade retention requirement. That has not been relaxed for the state. So our reading coaches will be working with our administrators, teachers, and parents will receive notification if the current data we have projects that they may be required to either be retained or attend summer school. So that documentation is communicated with our parents starting now. Okay. So they received our first MAP data, you would get the second data, and under the Third Grade Retention Act, which is still in place, they do receive that documentation, and we do it more than just third grade in the district. So parents are receiving that information.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Coachman?
Just like I said, I think that due to the COVID and due to the lack of face-to-face with our children being in school now, and by the time June and July gets here, and the situation will be much better, I think the parents want that face-to-face of the kids, especially if they need it during summer school. So I think we'll be flooded with the kids here for summer
I
school.
hope so.
And thank you, Mr. Coachman. I do want to also add, and I didn't mention this, I was going to mention it later. Logistically, it presents or will present a problem for us because of the transportation issues. If you do not know, you may remember Mr. McNeil mentioning recently that we have recently lost several of our bus drivers. There's a new plant that opened in Florence. They're paying good money for folks with CDL, and driving a bus is a little different than driving a truck. Packages don't talk back. And we have to be prepared to make do with what we have. Having dual systems at the time of a shortage is not going to be ideal. We are actively recruiting and seeking drivers, but at the same time, we have to look at this from a realistic standpoint.
There was one district in the PD that is actually encouraging staff members to drive buses as well.
Right. We haven't made it that far, but we might be headed. We have asked coaches with CDLs to be prepared in the event that they have to drive. And some of you may recall we did that 2 years ago when we asked for classified staff that wanted to take, and we offer that class and training for free. So we've reached out to our classified staff, and we've asked coaches to be prepared. We'd like to require it, but that's a whole nother conversation. I don't think we're ready for that one yet.
Okay.
Okay. This year, to begin the strategic planning process, the committee was also tasked with creating a 2022 and a 2023 school calendar. For this calendar, once again, teachers were provided option 1 and option 2. 73% of the responses were in favor of option 2, and 27% were in favor of option 1.
Where are the option 1 calendars? I don't see them.
That was what the teachers had to vote on. I can forward you the option 1 calendars.
Okay, I'd like to see them.
Okay. For option 2, teachers will begin on August 8th. Once again, that will be a full week of PD and teacher work days. Students will begin on August 15th. Teachers and students will be out for the full week of Thanksgiving. For the week for Christmas break, they will receive 2 weeks and 2 days. They, however, in this calendar will not have a teacher work day when they return, but they will receive 2 vacation days, 2 holidays in January. First semester, once again, will end in January. We will not be able to end the semester before December. Therefore, EOC and exams will have to take place in January. Teacher work days are in October and January. Professional development days are in February and March. There will be equal semesters. Both will be 90 days. Good Friday will be a holiday. And once again, spring break will be after Easter. Memorial Day will be a holiday. Graduation will be June 4th. The last day for students will be June 5th. And the last day for teachers being June 6th. Questions?
You said graduation is June 4th?
June 4th.
That's Sunday.
I'm sorry, June 3rd. I'm sorry. That was my,
So these are the 2 calendars that was majority.
yes, sir.
So 2021.
For the 22-23 years, there's no McCall calendar with it. We still,
Well, the recommendation is that we look at 2 years' worth of calendars. If you want to just do 1 year and then look at next year, you can do that. To be quite honest with you, I think we're going to need the same number of years as we've been out of school to get back on track. We were out last year for the most part. We're going to be out this year for the most part. That's 2 years. And so I figured we'd just present 2 calendars. Now, I'll go further than that to say this. And I've said and shared this before. There's no statistical or empirical data that shows a significant difference between the performance of students that are doing the year-round calendar or those doing attending school with the traditional calendar. Now, as a district, if you're going to be financially prudent, I would suggest that you have one calendar. If it is a modified year-round calendar, let's look at that for everyone. If it is a traditional 9-10-month calendar, I ask that you look at that because, again, there are certain financial costs that are associated with having 2 calendars, one for less than 20% of the school district. It's just something for you to consider. I've mentioned that to you before. I'll bring it up again right now, and it's a great time to have a discussion about it. If we want the modified year-round calendar, let's do it for everyone. We save, I think, for the purposes of professional development. Teachers can plan collectively together as opposed to being separated. Everyone can plan accordingly together. If we're going to have split systems, then there has to be a reason for it. What would be the benefit? If the benefit is going to be because it improves academics, then that's a no-brainer. We need to do that for everyone. If the benefit is for the convenience of some, then we have to look at that because parents can also opt out and attend another school. So if we're doing what's best financially, if we're doing what's best what I believe to be academically, then I think you have to look at adopting a unified calendar throughout the school district.
But yet what you said just a few seconds ago, if I heard you correctly, there's no difference in the modified year-round and the regular calendar as far as grades.
The only difference is cost.
Only difference is cost. So the cost is more for the modified extended year.
Definitely.
It costs more, okay.
And again, let me publicly say this too. I love the modified year-round calendar. That's me. As an individual, if I had my druthers, we would have a modified year-round calendar, period. But that's me. And I say this because I think 9 on and 2 off gives everyone an opportunity to recharge, refresh, and get back into it. But this is what we're charged the task of bringing to you. If you'd like me to look at that as an option, I'll be more than happy to bring that back to you as well.
But this
Miss.
When you stated that the modified year-round was more expensive, you mean in addition?
In addition to the traditional.
Not in place
Right, not in place of, in addition to. We had 3,000 using the traditional calendar and 700 using a totally different calendar.
And how would this affect sports scheduling,
Which calendar?
the modified?
District-wide? It would not. Sports and athletics and extracurricular activity would continue the same as it would with the traditional
I'd
calendar.
like to see a calendar like that for not necessarily this coming year, but perhaps ensuing years.
Be more than happy to pull one up.
Something we talk about. Mr. Coachman?
No, Mr. Branch.
I'm sorry, Mr. Branch, that was
Yeah.
my preparation.
I know when we voted on this to change it because of COVID from McCall, I asked a question, and maybe others also, is this a way of us not going back to their modified calendar? And the answer was no. We would go back after 1 year. So that's the only concerns I got. We made a promise to McCall that they could keep their modified calendar.
If I could speak on that, I made that statement based on the conditions in which I was faced with at the time. Now, when we had that conversation, I didn't know, and I don't think anyone else in this room knew, that we would still be under a pandemic rule. So I respectfully appreciate what you stated. However, I do want to make sure that I made that comment
Well, I mean,
based on the current
I can
data.
kind of understand a little bit the 21-22 year, but us going ahead and proving for the 22-23 on that, I wouldn't be in favor of that.
You know, I think we should just use the first year and then have him produce that other possibly modified calendar to vote on for next year after that?
Well, you do have the option, we do have the opportunity to vote on both, so we'll do it at that time. But and we can address them separately, I'm quite sure we can, or we will address them separately.
Cash.
Sure, Mr. Jiggers?
The vote on this calendar, is that something that we have to do tonight? Or is this something that we can request some more information before we vote on this calendar one way or the other?
Well, because it takes 2 readings, and we're in February, for planning purposes, we would like to have a calendar in place before we move forward with finalizing contracts.
Okay, so you're saying if we vote on it tonight,
This would be
and then we can still request information from you?
Sure.
And if we choose to change it next March, when we come back to that meeting, that can be accessible to do. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, and this is just me, I'm not comfortable where we're at right this moment. So I need some more information. I don't know about any other board member. I'm speaking only for Danny Driggers, but I need a little more information. So that's why I'm asking that question from you.
I'd be more than happy to get any information you need. You just let me know what it is you're looking for.
Okay.
Okay.
But a vote tonight would essentially get us started. Next month is March. Calendars are usually completed by the end of March. We could have I think we may have 2 meetings in March because we have budget sessions. So
Would you prefer I told you tonight, or would you prefer I called you and we talked it over? Because things I want to know is, what is the difference? You're talking about difference in cost. I'd like to know the difference in the cost. I agree with you. I wanted it, and I'll go on record. I think the modified extended calendar is where I'd like to be for the whole school system. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. I feel that way. But I'd like to know the cost for doing it, if there is a cost. I'd like to know the difference in the cost. I mean, I sit here and I see, just a few minutes ago, the young lady showed me, what did she call it, scholars? And there were like 5 or 4 or 5 from McCall. So they're doing something right over there. I don't know what it is, but they're doing something right. So, I want to make sure that we compare apples to apples and make sure we're getting everything and giving our kids the best opportunity. As you said, it might do them good for 2 weeks to recharge and come back. So I'd like
transportation costs.
Okay.
So I'll have to get that information.
If that's the big issue.
No, that is an issue.
Okay, great.
And
Mr. Smith?
I'm in agreement with Mr. Driggers and Dr. McCord. I would like to see that too. But I also would like to have the input of all players involved. You see, we can make a decision, but understand that this affects everybody who is working in the district. And so what are teachers saying from the other schools? And
They were included in the vote.
for the extended calendar?
For the, no, we didn't.
Traditional.
We didn't do the traditional.
That's
I
what
mean,
I'm
we
saying.
did traditional.
What are they saying? We could easily say, yeah.
I can't hear you that well, I'm sorry.
Well, can you hear me now?
I think it's just muffled. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I'm saying teachers and staff members that this is going to affect from the other schools, how do they feel about the extended calendar? Have we polled them to ask that question?
Have not, but be more than happy to do so.
Let me, Mr. Coachman.
That was done a few years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when the rest of the county was, they did a poll on the rest of the county,
Okay.
and we came back to the traditional calendar, and McCall stayed in the calendar that they were in, but the rest of the county was not in favor of it. At that time, it may be different now.
Can I suggest this? Since we have to keep going forward in some manner, let's go ahead and at least make our first vote on the 21-22 tonight. Ask for all the information that we need for year-round schools, since that's what seems to be a topic. Get all the information to us I would suggest you send out a survey. I hate to tell you this.
I love sending out.
Send out that survey to every teacher and to every school, and get their input, since they will be involved in it heavily. And then by the time we come back in March, we'll have some idea of where we may be headed for 22, 23. Is that about where we need to be? I mean, the first reading does not do anything. We can always change in the second reading. But we need to be going forward. If we stop completely still here, we don't get anything done, and we're over into May, and then we're gonna have a bunch of disgruntled folks saying it's time to sign my contract, and I don't even know where or when I'm gonna be doing school. Are we good with that? We're good?
Yep.
Mrs. Jiggers?
Yep, that's fine.
All right.
We just need a motion.
We just need a motion, and we're only doing 21, 22, am I right?
Yep.
Ms. Manville?
I move that we accept the 21-22 calendar as written.
Second.
Is it moved and seconded that we accept for first reading the 21-22 calendar? Are you ready for questions? I think we've had that. Are you ready to vote? All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Opposes? We have 6 and 2. So recommendation has been accepted. And we'll have the information that we need by March, by the meeting in March. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Robinson.
I'll send the survey out, and I'll get the cost estimates.
Will you be including parents as well as staff members in that statement?
What I'll ask is for principals to have community meetings, whether it be Zoom or virtual. And I say this because in order for us to get the feedback, those conversations need to be held. So if there are questions, principals can answer those questions. I'll actually do a couple myself, I'm sure.
Okay, professional development.
Alrighty, I do have some questions about professional development. But first I'd like to say kudos to all the teachers that I met this week in the schools. They're doing an amazing job. So in an effort to provide further assistance to the teachers, I would like to revisit the questions I posed earlier in regard to our literacy initiatives that are being instituted district-wide. And I want to put an emphasis on district-wide. So I'll just read the questions as they are from the email.
Can you remove your mask, sir?
Yeah, take it.
Am I muffled? Okay, that's better. All right, so first question. And this is pertaining to the information that we received about professional development, about the webinars and Google training. And my question is just, I would like to know more about what type of follow-up is given to ensure teachers are effectively utilizing the skills.
Now, I asked Dr. Robinson to come up to answer questions, but I also want to extend the opportunity for principals. And I say that because I think they can better articulate the first question that you have.
If you look at the PowerPoint behind you, from the website, Davita McCall is in charge of our PD calendar, which is available on our district website. You will notice that there's a heavy focus on Wednesdays because we do not come to school at this time on Wednesdays. What we do as a district on Wednesdays is then followed up by our school. We were part of the E3 initiative, and also before that, this was a TAP district. So we developed a PLC model. So any initiative or any PD that we offer from the district level, every week is followed up in the schools by their individual PLC, which could be professional learning communities, called cluster meetings, E3, it was called something else. But our instructional coaches and our reading coaches then make sure that those initiatives are being implemented with fidelity. So our principals, they are a part of the professional development is offered, and they are also tasked with making sure that it's taking place in their building. Also, the members of the curriculum team, senior cabinet, we are in and out of the PLCs, so we see it also happening, and then we see the data reviews that are being held in each school and in each class.
And if possible, can I get a copy of some of that data that you're talking about?
That they're reviewing, like the test that is what we provide to the board when we did like the map. I think the last presentation you had was on benchmarks.
Okay.
They go over that in their PLCs. Also, they have, we use a program called Mastery Connect, where the teachers use common assessments. They have that individual data to discuss in their PLCs also each week.
So my initial question is, there is follow-up being done?
Yes, sir, every week.
Okay. Second question. I would like to know if there are literacy-based trainings that focus on the curriculums to address the reading and comprehension disparities in the district.
We started a reading initiative last year. We have adopted Fontes and Pinnell. You'll hear it referred to as F&P. We started our training last year. We had hoped to have a lot of our training during the summer, but of course, COVID hit. So we have rolled it out once a month. There is an PLC district-wide. We are doing it by Zoom for a section of F&P every month. Once we do the district initiative, the reading coaches are tasked with taking it back into their schools and ensuring that the teachers understand that part of the program, and then we come back the following month with any follow-up, and then we move to the next step of F&P.
Okay, I have a suggestion. I'm not an expert, but I would like to see us do some PLCs with some of the districts in the state that are performing, at a higher level in Marlboro County as far as testing. So maybe a teacher or two can visit that district and see what their practices are, and maybe come back, teach the teachers here, and we can maybe apply those here in the district.
Okay. And our reading coaches are part of the PD consortium.
Okay.
They are working exactly what you just said with other districts in the state and in the PD to have that opportunity to learn from each other. We also are fortunate enough to have a state reading coach specialist in our district that works with our schools to have that connection with other schools in the district. So there are many opportunities for our teachers to reach out to other schools. And we encourage networking in our district.
Yes, I think that's awesome. Great.
If you don't mind, I'm going to have Gail Redding speak a little bit about Waterford, the program that we have implemented here in the district, as well as any questions that you might have about Fontes and Pinnell. But I do want to come back to the collaboration of teachers collectively statewide.
Thank you, Dr. McCord, Chairman and board members. We do, for our 4K, have the Waterford program. This was something that was initiated by our State Department. Every one of our 4K students have a computer that was issued to them by our State Department. It has the programs on it, specific ones that they have taken these laptops home and they work on that. We have seen some tremendous gains based on the fact they started last year. They got them again this year, and even some of our parents that are not comfortable sending their students face-to-face, they have been doing Zoom with our teachers, but still following through with all of the Waterford, and we are seeing results with that with the 4K.
Awesome. I like to hear that.
Okay, and then with the Fontes and Pinnell, Bennettsville Primary had the opportunity to actually start this year before last. We got it in the spring. We started implementing it immediately. We had professional development from the Fontes and Pinnell program. Some of us even went to Atlanta and spent a week with Fontes and Pinnell, the two ladies that developed the program. I was one of those that got to go, along with Dr. Robinson and some others in the district, and another couple people from my school, and since we were starting this program. It is full, comprehensive. It offers different varied parts. The interactive read aloud, which is a higher level that the teacher actually reads to the students, and they have conversations vocabulary that they would not be able to read themselves, that the students actually are understanding and able to grab those words and they become their words in their conversations, and then also seeing them and having those nice conversations with the teachers. So that's just that one part. We have guided reading is another one that we actually level the students based on where are they at. Each group, they have a group, and they have spend specific time with their teacher in a small group of about 4 or less, and they are on that same level. So while they're getting that high level, on grade level instruction, they still have the opportunity to have the small group instruction so that each child is being taught at their level. And we started that in the spring of the year before. Thank goodness for our Title I funds, and also Dr. McCord as well as Dr. Robinson for allowing BPS to step out and take that big step. And we finished up. Every teacher has every component in my school. We even have the LLI groups, which is intervention for our special needs students, as well as for students that are showing still not as much progress as we would like for them to have. And we are consistently, we have several teachers, the Fontes and Pinnell, the training that the district is offering, our reading coach does go, but we also have about 7 of my teachers on that group as well as from other schools in the district. So they are getting that, bringing it back for us to fine tune more and more skills.
Okay, and that's what I wanted to ask. We are doing it district-wide, the Fontes and Pinnell?
Yes.
District-wide?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
we are, and I was going to go back, but thank you, Ms. Redden, but she said the training
Thank
that
you all.
took place involved her staff, and will continue to have trainings that involve staff that have the opportunity to collaborate with teachers from not just across the state, but across the country. However, because of COVID, we're limited in what we can do. I mentioned at the last board meeting the digital platform that we use and our teachers utilize for professional development. They do that on their own for purposes of what you mentioned a moment ago, and that is increasing and enhancing their teaching abilities. And they do this in addition to what they're charged the task of doing every day. And I want to say this too, if I can, because I hear over and over the conversation move towards we're placing a premium on scores. It's more than scores. It's a community investment. It's a community effort. We can't raise scores until we get everyone working together. And I say this because I don't want anyone to discount the work that's being done by teachers, by administrators, if we don't see what some might think that we should see. But I am happy to report, and you as a board know as well as the public knows, that the last 2 presentations that we've shown you, you see incremental gains. And that's during the time of a pandemic. And I don't think that's something that should be overlooked. Even though we are not seeing students on a day-to-day basis, our teachers are still working hard, our students are working hard, our administrators are doing their level best, and we're showing gains. And I say this because I don't want to get too far down the road and it's said again that we need to see phenomenal gains. It doesn't work that way. If you look at the 20-year history of where we've stood as a district, it hasn't been, at best, what we wanted. But I believe we're headed in the right direction, very confident in the fact that we have some new positions that are on deck that will bring us some excitement to what we're doing instructionally. And I'm looking forward to the future, to be quite honest with you, with what we're doing in the ways of professional development for our staff.
Yeah. Awesome, awesome. My only concern was just to make sure that we are offering great professional development for the staff.
And if I may add, I didn't want to leave this out because I would be amiss if I did not. But I would like to applaud Ms. Davita McCall, Dawn Hood, and Katrina Bridges. We were tasked with rolling out many platforms from Zoom, Schoology, and every week starting this summer, they were committed to visiting classrooms, doing Zooms, several times a day, but definitely on our dedicated Wednesdays to ensure that our students and our teachers and even our parents with the parenting program understood all of our platforms. So we have spent multiple hours on just learning the platforms this year, on top of the initiatives. So our teachers and our staff has given 110%
I know
this
they
year.
are. I met them. They're awesome. I thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate it.
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Coachman.
Yeah. On a lighter note, I want to ask a question and a favor of you guys in Blenheim. I had 3 parents came to me at work and asked me to ask a question and to get them some help. And they told me what their problem was, and y'all tell me, and then y'all can address it. Something with your Google, they turn it in their homework on Google, they submitting it, and it's not going through, and the students and the parents are concerned and saying that, they've been submitting over and over, and they're afraid that their child is gonna fail, and when they're doing the homework, but when it's going to be submitted, not being turned in. And so, can you address it for me? Maybe they're listening here now, and
Can you, if you don't mind, can you give me the names?
I will give them to you first, as soon as I get to work in the morning.
Okay, and the reason I say that is because I don't want to put the staff on the spot without
Absolutely.
having an opportunity to address the parents directly.
I don't either. I don't want to put them, I just want the parents to know from Blenheim that I addressed their question and that they will have an answer sometime this week.
I would know. We'll jump right on it. You give me the names,
I will.
and I'll pass it on to the principals, and we'll move forward with it.
I wouldn't ask a question, but they text me and remind me to ask questions. But
You can give them my number, 843-521-7631.
yes, sir.
We'll get
I'll-
right on it.
I'm done.
Hey, passing down over there that day.
Huh?
Anything else? If not, we'll go into the superintendent's report.
I'm going to ask George Coleman, our Director of Instruction, our Director of Technology here in the district, to come up. And this kind of goes a little bit, so it's a perfect segue to your question. Many times you hear from parents and others that say, hey, I wonder what the district is doing or what the district has done to address technology in Marlboro County. I said to you back in March, and I've repeated it over and over again, when the pandemic became not just a word, but it became a reality, and schools were closed March 16, 2020, we were prepared. We were prepared because of advanced planning, and I'd just like to have a chance to show you all that has been done to address the technology divide here in Marlboro County. So, Mr. Coleman, if you would, take us through this.
Chairman McNeil, members of the board, Dr. McCord. Tonight, I'm presenting to you the planning and the implementation of our technology infrastructure and digital tools for continuity of learning. Part of our plan was to ensure all students and teachers have access to the internet and devices in order to be able to connect to our instructional platforms. Last year, we issued over 1,100 devices to our K to third grade students, and this completed our one-to-one initiative that we started 3 years ago. Over 1,600 hotspots were issued to the students with no internet access, and we had a variety of AT&T and Verizon, and part of our checkout procedure, was to make sure, based on the area, to have enough coverage for instructionals. 40 laptops and 40 interactive panels were ordered and installed at Bennettsville Primary School and McCall Elementary Middle. 200 webcams with tripods to assist teachers, and also additional monitors were providing to support and help with online instructions. part of our plan was to increase our internet connectivity based on, so many meetings and requirements that we had in our school district. We double our internet bandwidth, and part of that project was also to replace our internet firewall. At Clio Elementary, Middle, and Blenheim School of Discovery, we upgraded a wireless network system, and also we wanted to make sure, like Dr. Robinson discussed briefly about this, to ensure our students, they will have year-long use of different digital tools and to a learning management system. Schoology, which is our district learning management system, was implemented in grades 3rd till 12 for all students, and it's used to receive and submit assignments. It's also used for class discussion and communicate with teacher and classmates. CISO was purchased and implemented for K to 2nd grade, and it's used for the same, to receive and submit assignments and communicate with teachers. ClassLink, which is a digital platform with instant access to all district resources, was also purchased, and Zoom, not only for the teacher but for all the district employee, was purchased and put in place last year also. Professional development was provided for all the digital tools and learning management system that we purchased last year, and also on our instructional technology website there are videos posted for and training videos for parents, teachers, and everybody. They will need support. We wanted to ensure all the staff will be accessible, to students and parents, and we wanted to. We have different ways of communication between students and teachers, from the learning management system to chat, messaging, email, phone, video conference system like Zoom. And so they have multiple ways to get in touch with the staff and the teacher if is needed. And also, like Dr. McCord, I guess this is going to touch a little bit on Mr. Coachman's question about how we can help the teachers. We have different ways to support, the parents and the students if they have any kind of technology or instructional issues. We have a remote solution that we use. Is named Chrome Remote Support, and this is allowing our technician to remotely control, student devices, and this is helping, students that are not able to, show up on site. Also, last year we opened at our technology office a call center for support and repair. So we open Monday to Friday from 8 to 4 to provide support. And we have an IT technician available every day, like I said, during those working hours on site. So if anybody is having any kind of issue from, hotspots, Chrome devices, Google assignments, they can stop by and they will have somebody available to provide them support at our office. We have an online ticketing system for staff, so the district staff can submit online tickets and they are rerouted to the technician based on their location. And also part of our plan was to have spare devices available, Chromebook and hotspots, at every school. So every school will have spare devices available for students. So if a student is coming with a device that needs, yes sir?
We have hotspots available now for the children?
We still have hotspots for, yes, sir.
Because at one time it was based upon income.
It's still based on income, but we still have some devices available. So if somebody wants to apply for hotspots, we still can make it happen.
Now, if there's any child out there that does not have a hotspot and does not have that capability, they can apply for it.
That is correct, yes. Okay. And we made this available, I guess, a couple times before the school started. I guess one time in October, we send out survey and notification to the school system, and we still have hotspots available, and in fact, we're still assigning hotspots. Okay. And like I said, we have spare Chromebooks and hotspots at every school, and this was part of our plan in case somebody's having issue with a device. There is not going to be a downtime on the instructional part. So there are pretty much loan a device, or they will be assigned a different device the same day. So if somebody wants to reach to the school or our office, another device is going to be issued to the students. So we wanted just to make sure all students, they will have access to resources and devices to be successful, during those challenging times.
Thank you. All right.
Okay. Any questions?
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
very much.
Again, I'd like to give George a round of applause because his team, he has a skeleton crew. When you think about where we were a couple of years ago, we were not one-to-one. We were not the bandwidth size that we have now. We haven't increased his staff at all. In fact, he's one less than what he was when we started. And so I think that says a lot about what's taking place here, not to mention all of the technological advances we've made for safety and security. He's definitely doing a good job with that, to include camera systems, card swipes, accountability for devices, et cetera. But just want to say thank you publicly.
Thank you.
I know it's difficult, and I know I ride you a lot. I appreciate you a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, George. Testing calendar proposal.
Chairman McNeil, school board members, Dr. McCord, as with all things associated with COVID, we have had to revise our testing schedule once again. The CIA team met. We discussed it with our principals and instructional coaches, and we have revised our testing schedule for the remainder of the year. Today, as you know, we started back with our 2-day schedule, and we also began our fall-winter administration of EOC at the high school today. The window for fall-winter EOC is February 1st through February 16th. The window for WIN testing, which is a college and career readiness test for the high school, the window for that test is March 1st through the 26th. High school PSAT will be March 17th. And then for our 3rd through 8th grade, South Carolina Ready and Pass the window will be May 24th to June 11th. And then spring EOC for our 8th graders, and also, of course, the high school, the window for that will be June 1st through 11th. Any questions? Are these online or are these in person? At this time, the state is requiring us to administer them on face-to-face. But as with everything with COVID, that may change.
And this is just for information.
Yes.
Any questions? Ms. Robinson? Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
She's up next, so she can
Oh.
stay right there.
You can just.
Tonight, I would like to provide you with an overview of where we started in HR just 3 years ago. It's hard to believe that I showed up August, I believe it was the 13th. It was the first day with the teachers right here at Marlboro County High School. When I went back to the office that day, I had a vacancy folder on the desk. In that folder, I was met with the news that the first day of school, we had 24 vacancies. There were 16 certified positions and 8 classified positions. After placing instructional coaches in the classroom, conducting a 10-day count, reassigning FTEs, and eliminating a few positions that were not necessary after the 10-day count, in September, we still had 14 certified vacancies and 1 classified position. And unfortunately, during the year of 2018, many of those vacancies remained unfilled for most of the year. During the 18-19 school year, we did adopt many systems in HR that included a year-round recruiting process and implemented the electronic application portal, which can be found on our website, and we added a few onboarding software programs. On August 2019, you'll see that we had 14 vacancies. Once again, we continue to refine our year-round recruitment process, and we were able to fill most of our vacancies last year by December, but we did still start the school year with 14 vacancies, unfortunately. And if you'll note, they were in core classes. So that was of great concern to us because one of our main goals, of course, is student achievement. And that brings us to August of 2020. And I would like to note that this was during the pandemic, and if you can recall many conversations during the pandemic, we were worried about what was going to happen in teacher recruitment. Also, I will never forget March, I think it was the 10th, we had our recruitment fair in Charleston, and that was when COVID had just hit, and we didn't know who was going to show up, how we were going to interact with our applicants, because the fist bump and all that was just happening. So that was the only recruitment fair that we were able to attend last year. However, in spite of the pandemic, we were able this year to begin the school year with only 4 vacancies. We did have, in full transparency, we did have 3 classified positions, but we opted not to fill those positions because we were unsure what would happen with COVID and with the budget. We did later on fill those positions. It was not because of a lack of applicants, but because we opted not to choose it. So you may ask, how do we do that? How do we only get to 4 vacancies? Well, first I have to say it was from our outstanding principals doing a great job interviewing and trying to fill positions. But we also did do a few things different last year. We partnered with NETC. We had an auto mechanics position, which we could not find an applicant, so we partnered with NETC, and although we already do dual enrollment with NETC, we also offer auto mechanics with NETC. So we share an employee with NETC at no cost to the district. We also participated in Carolina CAP. Carolina CAP is a collaboration between school districts such as Marlboro County School District, USC, and the South Carolina Center for Teacher Quality. Marlboro was the second of 14 districts in South Carolina to partner with CAP. What makes CAP unique, because there are other alternative education programs, is that CAP allows you to do it in early childhood and in elementary programs. So you're probably very familiar with PACE, but PACE does not go down to early childhood and elementary. That's mostly your secondary classes. And CAP has allowed us to truly grow our own. Of the 10 Carolina CAP teachers that we have in our district, 8 of those teachers are from Marlboro County. And the last thing that we have done this year is
I just want to make sure we don't gloss over that, because if you recall, Mr. Driggers, I think that was charged by you to make sure that we're elevating our classified staff and those that are could be eligible for teaching positions. And so this is one of those efforts that we put in place. And so call that number out again.
8 of 10.
8 of 10 have come through this CAP program. So I'd like to say thank you and congratulations to those teachers, those staff members who are now teachers here in Marlboro County.
And one requirement of CAP is that you have to pass the praxis, and we were just informed last week that our first teacher passed the praxis. So we are very excited about that. Another initiative that I am very proud to share with you tonight is Elevate K-12, and you've already received information on Elevate K-12 at previous board meetings. But I would just like to go back over some key components of Elevate K-12. Elevate K-12 provides us with the opportunity to deliver live instruction with a certified teacher. And it's the same platform that we're currently using with our own teachers, so it's very similar. What makes it different is that it's content-specific courses, it's rigorous instruction, and once again, like I said, it is certified teachers providing live instruction. The middle school also offered sign language this year. That is another feature that many of our other programs did not offer. They may have offered core programs, but not electives. With any program, we are going to have some kinks that we have to work out. And we will continue to work on those kinks. And there's still room for improvement, but we are impressed with some of the data that is already coming in with Elevate K-12. If you look at the 8th grade MAP scores, and Dawn Hood presented this last month, we're using Elevate K-12 at McCall for the 8th grade math class. If you will note, the Elevate K-12 is the closest to the norm, at only falling short 2.9. At the high school, Dr. Watson and his team has seen success with Elevate K-12 in their Spanish classes. You will note in your packet last month, you received our grade distribution. There's concern during the pandemic of the grades slipping, but in our Elevate K-12 classes with Spanish, they've seen much success with very low failure rates. You'll see that in Spanish 1 with 31 students, only a 10% failure rate, and with Spanish 2, 19 students, only an 11% failure rate. So where do we go for 21-22? I'm sorry. Of course, we will continue with our year-round recruiting plan, but we would also like to explore more. We would also like to explore more options with Elevate K-12. With the proper scheduling, we believe that our middle schools may be able to offer additional honors courses and share instructional facilitators throughout the district. For example, we could offer Honors English 1 if we did the schedule right with one Elevate K-12 teacher at all 3 schools at the same time. Or we could add another honors course, such as honors biology. I think there are many opportunities there. The high school may also be able to add electives such as German. Now we're only offering French and Spanish, but with the Elevate K-12, because you only pay per period, you could bring on a German instructor for only 1 period versus the teacher and have to worry about a caseload for 4 preps. You would only need that 1 period, and you could contract for only that 1 period with that teacher. We do not offer any AP courses at this time at the high school. With Elevate K-12, that may be an option because, once again, we're only worrying about that 1 period versus an entire caseload of 3 or 4 preps for that teacher. And we would also like to explore the option of being able to offer courses such as coding, which, if you're watching any of the trend data, coding, STEM classes, that's where our students would like to see us go with our master schedule. We're excited about our future with Elevate K-12. However, we do want to assure you that HR is still committed to finding teachers that are highly qualified in our classes every day. Any questions?
No, ma'am. I just want to say thank you. We're still trying to move forward. We're trying to make sure that we can do all we can for our kids, and I thank you for your efforts and those that your staff that's helping us make sure we reach those goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're at fiscal.
Fiscal responsibility. We'll ask Sharon Hubbard to come up. She has 2 items that she's going to speak to us on.
Good evening to the Board of Trustees, Dr. McCord. I present to you the January financial report for January 2021. In your board packet, you will see that in our cash reserves at January 25th, we had in our cash coffers $1,027,858.92 in our 4 operating accounts. And also, the district expended $14,897,732.36 of a $34,818,102 budget, or 43% of our budget. Ideally, 7/12 of the year, which is January, we would be at 58%, but as you can see, we've only spent 43% of our budget. So we are doing pretty well with that, with spending.
That's real good.
But
Yes, sir.
I assume that's got to do with a lot with COVID and we saving money.
That's
because of
correct.
COVID and some of the funding that we've been receiving
That is
from
correct.
state and federal,
That is correct.
doing a mighty fine job.
We were able to, and I will be talking about that in a few minutes, we were able to, for instance, transfer some of our salaries over to some CARES funding, among other things.
As we continue to learn more, we have a meeting scheduled later this month with other superintendents and CFOs to find out what everyone is doing. So we're expecting to have more for our coffers that can help us with our future endeavors.
Sure. Also, would like for you to review in your packet the general fund budget adjustments for the month of January. Do you have any questions regarding those transfers? There were only 3 in the month of January. And if not, I would like for you to draw your attention to January cash transfers. Do you have any questions regarding the cash transfers for the month of January? And pretty much these cash transfers would be from our operating account, cash drawn from our treasurer's office, going into our investments account to meet payroll and AP runs, just to meet our operating needs. No questions?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. For the PowerPoint, for CARES, ESSER 1, 2, and CRF funding, I'd like to go over that with you. As you know, in the month of June 2020, we were awarded $1,733,039 from the South Carolina State Department of Education for CARES funding. We had 12 categories of funding, which the district only opted to use 4 categories. And those categories were Category 7 for purchasing supplies to sanitize and clean our facilities, and that was in the tune of $105,039. Category 8, purchasing online textbooks, assessments, and software licenses for continuing education during our long-term closures. That was for $63,000. And we budgeted $656,000 to purchase our educational technology, the things that George Coleman spoke about earlier in his presentation. And for Category 12, we budget $909,000 to maintain the operation and continuity of services and to employ existing staff. As I indicated, we receive about $1.7 million, and of that budget, we already spent 77% of our budget as of January 25th, which is pretty good. Dr. McCord mentioned that we are going to receive approximately $8.8 million in CARES funding soon, details to follow. But we have to spend these funds first before we can spend our CARES 2 funding. And this is where our funding have been spent in those categories.
But that time has been stretched now to, I believe, 2023.
That is correct.
So we have time to spend the money, and that's important to note because it takes time to spend that type of money.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
I've got plans.
If there are certain areas that the money can be spent in, or we can spend it however?
They've already dictated the 12 categories, but we have the option to choose from those categories.
And you're going to talk about the 3 additional categories.
That's correct,
Okay.
I am.
So there'll be a total of 15. $15.
Yeah, this is only for the CARES ESSER 1 funding, the funding that we received in June 2020. This is how we spend our funds.
The Chromebooks and the laptops, those are new Chromebooks and laptops. Is it because we're not replacing or getting the other ones back, or is it, what's the reason?
No.
Because I know we're going down in student population.
Right, all Chromebooks aren't new. This is our third year for some devices. All devices will be refreshed over a 3-year period. That's just a general average. They're obsolete really after 3 years. And so as we're refreshing, then we buy, and then for those that are obsolete, we have those as salvage or surplus.
Okay.
So the short answer is we purchase new devices for this year, and we're refreshing devices, which in effect means we're getting new devices for the rest of this year and starting a new year.
Okay. I knew the law of average, we're going to lose some in the process of kids taking them and all that, but I just wondered how that worked. Yeah.
Our shrinkage for the devices last year in George, and I'm just going to, if I remember correctly, was about 4 or 5%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
so
great.
If you're talking about, last year 3,900 devices, 4 or 5% is pretty light.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And I want to bring that up because that's always been a point of contention as to why some districts don't go one-to-one with devices. I can assure you, kids take care of these devices as best they can. Now, I don't mean all kids, but if you want to start a fight, take a kid's cell phone. If you want to get in a wrestling match, try to take their device, because this gives them the opportunity to open themselves up to outside. They don't always use it the way we want them to use, but shrinkage has been plays a very small role.
That's great.
For technology.
That's great.
Okay, moving to the next slide. I'd like to go over some of the purchases that were made using ESSER 1 funding. We purchased Seesaw licensing for K through second grade. The George Coleman referenced this number earlier, 1,135 Dell adapters, Chromebooks, power cords. I went out to those various schools, 51 Dell laptops, and 74 Cube charge cards. In addition to that would be the funding for our assistant principals. We also use those funds for funding assistant principals at our various schools. We also received CRF funding, which is coronavirus relief funding. And we received $471,316.84. Funds have been used for technology purchases of devices and connectivity equipment to support our online learning resulting from COVID-19. Some of the things that we purchased are as follows: some subscriptions, speakerphones, tripod stands. We did maintenance on our eTree server. We also purchased computers, monitors, cases, webcams, and we also purchased a new firewall.
Yeah, I'm probably one of the dumb ones here, but back up one slide. The other slide. What's the server maintenance? That's a program just for maintaining. I mean, what does that mean?
eTree is a management system for electronic forms and documents.
Okay, so it's someone servicing the documents or helping us to maintain those.
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
Takes away paperwork.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, I may be the dumb one here, but yeah.
We become a paperless society, so that's what that is. Also, regarding CRF funding, we also received internet hotspots distribution funding of $148,000 to provide internet hotspots and services to eligible student households until June 30th, 2021. And that is an extension from the December 31st, 2020. The state decided to fund the full year to June 30th, 2021 hotspots for eligible students and their households. Regarding our CARES ESSER 2 funding, again, we're going to be receiving approximately $8.8 million. And with this funding, we will have those 12 categories available to us, plus 3 new categories. Category 1 will be addressing the learner loss that Dr. McCord spoke about earlier. Category 2 would be facility repairs and improvements to reduce the risk of virus transmission and exposure. And the last category would be improvement of indoor air quality in school facilities. Again, I would like to mention that those funding, ESSER 1 funding that we received, of $1.7 million, will have to be spent before we receive or spend ESSER 2 funding. The category 13, which, excuse me.
I know you're getting ready to talk about the category. Well, I'll wait till you get to it.
Okay.
I want to share something. Go ahead.
Okay. Category 13, which represents learning loss. It addressed learning loss of all students of the school district, and by administering and using high-quality assessments, implementing evidence-based activities to meet the comprehensive needs of students, providing information and assistance to parents and families on how they can effectively support students, and also track student attendance and improve student engagement in distance education. So those things are important to us, and CARES funding will be able to address those needs for us.
Can you give me an example of what implementing a, back up one, try to get out, I can't, you're moving too quick for me. Implementing evidence-based activity. Can you give me an example of something, what that would be?
Summer school.
Yeah, the summer school that you spoke
school.
about.
Okay.
I mean, we can have summer school. We can look at our reading initiatives, you know, based on evidence for the needs of our students. We believe this to be best spent for the money.
Okay.
It could be providing additional staff, reading literacy coaches, you know, math literacy coaches. I mean, it's based on what we believe our students show a direct need. So it's pretty loose, it's pretty fluid.
Okay.
The goal here is for us to spend wisely. Because we have the opportunity to do so, we plan to.
Okay.
And we'll just jump start category 14. I'll talk about this one, 14 and 15. Because much of this money can be used to help do things that we've already said we need to get done, i.e. HVAC replacement, window replacement, door replacement, things that deal with the quality of air and air control in our buildings. This comes as a hidden blessing. We just recently flipped over, I believe, $875,000 in bond returns, not to mention 8% that we'll get. We can work out well with this and use those monies to help us complete some other projects that we had on deck, like actual turf and football field. So,
Concession stand.
Wow, with a bathroom.
there are a lot of things that we can look at doing. So we'll have some opportunities to talk about that coming up. Just when we get ready to roll, just let's ride together.
All this funding that we're receiving I guess it's temporary funding. I mean, as long as COVID's here, we may get it, we may not. Is that the way that works?
No, it's coming.
Well, I mean, I realize it's coming, but it won't. We
One
won't
time.
get it year in and
Just a
year out.
one-time.
No, it's like a stimulus check.
It's not
You know,
real, it's not
The reason
reoccurring.
I want to, you mentioned something earlier about we were paying some salaries. Do you have any idea how much salaries we're paying out of it?
We
So
budgeted
we-
$909,000 in salaries for our
That's what we
assistant
budgeted.
So
principals.
that's not coming out of our regular general budget?
That's correct.
That's not coming out of the general fund.
Okay, I mean, I guess where I'm going is we really need to be careful when we're setting our budget, because one day we know we're gonna have to pick that money back up.
Well, we're not losing the money.
Well, I realize we're not losing it, but we're just kind of shifting. I don't want to go and spend 900,000 somewhere else from our general budget when we know we got to put it back in there one day.
No.
Yes, we'll be mindful of
that's not
that.
correct.
Yeah, we will be mindful of that. Those salaries will have to be sustained in our general fund budget in years to come.
Okay.
Which we plan for that, but that's different than, I think, what I'm hearing you say. When we make plans for this money, it's going to be replaced by carefully planning of how to use these funds. And so when I talk about projects that we would like to complete, I mean that with all sincerity, but it will come at no additional cost to the district and will not jeopardize our general fund budget. Now, if we're going to talk about projected planning as it relates to budget, then you have to consider the loss of students. That's going to become an issue.
That will be
somewhere.
an issue.
Now, we lost, I think, 104, 105 students this year. We hope to get them back. We just recently received our homeschool reports from the state, and we only lost 5 or 6 to homeschool. So where these kids are, I don't know. If the families could have moved away, but that's what we need to be looking at. But this money is one time, but it is safe enough for us to adequately plan.
Okay. That's all I have. Do you have any questions regarding funding that we received recently?
No, just that.
Okay, all right,
Ma'am,
thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
I do at this time too. We've been contacted by the auditing firm concerning the audit, and they would like for us to give them a date of sometimes next week when they may be able to come down and share with us their findings. I was just informed of that this evening. So if we can get a date, one day next week, one evening next week, where we can come together and just for them to come and share with us their findings on the forensic audit. I heard Monday.
To my knowledge, I'm open all next week, so.
Anyone have a
whatever
problem
suits
with
everybody.
Monday? February the 8th.
Make it a little later.
Just don't make it Valentine's Day and give me trouble.
6 o'clock? 6 o'clock would be good?
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. 6 o'clock Monday, February the 8th. Okay, we're good. We'll continue on. We're at the second reading of board policies.
Chair?
I'm sorry.
The issue with the way these things are printed, they do not reflect the changes that we made,
No, they do not.
at least the ones that had options in them.
Policy BD is the first one.
Which one?
Policy BD, we said, go ahead, Miss, you can go ahead, Miss,
BEDB, the very first one, is got several options that we had originally put in, and they are not reflected in the printing.
BEDB?
The very first one.
The first one is BD.
Boy, David.
The first one is BD, page 12.
first one is BD.
BEDB.
That's following
Page
behind
12.
BD.
No, that's different.
I'm looking at something different than what you're looking. The very first one is BD.
Let's start
BD.
with BD.
Okay.
BD.
BD, we reflected to make the changes that there will not be any secret ballot. But it's still here, and saying the superintendent will appoint a member of the district. We scratched all of that out and voted on it, but it's still sitting here.
Okay.
Did she send the changes in?
I don't think they, obviously they did not.
You table it to
We
February.
will need to table it until we can get back with it.
February.
Let's just table that, and, this is February.
February 8th, you just said.
Yeah,
you're gonna
we'll
meet.
come back on the 8th, and we should have time then to go through it on the 8th, and we'll go back through them and make the changes, the necessary changes.
You just send it
Okay.
back to the attorney. Okay.
All right, so we will table all of the, second readings, till the 8th.
What was the issue with the DB?
Again, we had options that were marked originally and are no longer.
Let's just wait until we can go back. We'll go back through each and all of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. 2, 4, 5. We'll go back through them. Okay, consent agenda. We have $2,500 donation from Mechanical Contractors Association of South Carolina.
I want to ask Ms. Wasilla Cass to come up. She is our CTE director. She can tell us a little bit about this grant that we just recently received, this award, and how we were able to become recipients.
And it's good seeing you. I know you've been going through, so it's good seeing you.
It's good to be here. To Chairman McNeil, to the board, to Superintendent McCord, and to everyone here, it gives me a great honor and pleasure to accept this grant on the behalf of my staff, first of all, because for those of you who don't know, carpentry is a new program that was added back into our curriculum this year. The last year that we had carpentry, I think it was like 18 years ago. I was contacted in August of 2020 concerning applying for a grant that will help the program. We applied. The grant ranged from $2,000 to $5,000, and we were granted $2,500. He asked that we name some items that we would like to purchase. So we named the compressor, towel saw, table saw, all of these items. I had no idea what they really were, but Mr. Miles, our instructor, he gave me a list of some things that he really needed. And again, we were awarded the $2,500. That will help us to purchase some of our items. I was in contact with Mr. Bishop, who is the grant chair. He will be out coming to Marlborough County to visit our program sometime this month with the hopes of assisting us in the future. Thank
Now,
you.
If you don't mind, let us know, or let me know, and I'll let
I
the
sure
board
will.
know.
That's the plan.
The reason I know I'm going to be there, but it would be great if some of you could be there. If you have not visited Mr. Jesse Miles Jr.'s classroom, do so.
Yeah.
I think you'll see we sought him out for a reason.
Yes.
He's been a dynamo addition.
He's doing a great job.
He is.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there a need to go back into executive session?
I do have one thing I want to discuss in the executive session.
In executive session?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I need a motion to go back into executive session.
So
It's
moved.
been moved and seconded to go back into executive session. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Opposers are the same. We're not executive session.